You say you want love. You say you want someone who's kind, who's ready, who chooses you without a doubt. But somehow, you always find yourself in the same story, with the same kind of person, distant, confusing, 1 foot in, 1 foot out. You tell yourself, maybe this time will be different, but there's a part of you, deep down, that already knows it won't be. Because what you've been calling chemistry is actually familiarity. You see, you don't just stumble upon unavailable people. You subconsciously seek them out. It's not a conscious choice, but a pull deep within your nervous system. Why? Because emotionally unavailable love feels like home. If home was a place of chaos, if love, for you, once meant chasing attention, if affection always came with conditions, your brain learned a powerful equation. Love equals anxiety. You think it's chemistry, but it's really memory. You started associating peace with danger and tension with connection. That's why the calm, stable person feels off or boring, and the one who confuses you, who keeps you guessing, feels so right. You think you crave love, but what you're really craving is uncertainty. That feeling of almost being chosen, of almost being enough. Every little breadcrumb of attention they drop keeps your nervous system hooked. It's because that unpredictability releases dopamine, the same chemical your brain gets from gambling. That's why you keep going back for more. You're not in love with them. You're addicted to the high of almost being loved. You call it passion. You call it soulmate energy. But let's be honest, it's trauma recognition. Your body recognizes the old, familiar pattern and whispers, "This feels like home." You think you're drawn to them, but you're actually being drawn back to your own unhealed story. You're chasing people who remind you of your first emotional wound. Maybe it was the parent who was physically present but emotionally absent. The love that made you fight for scraps of affection. So now you confuse that intensity with intimacy. You crave the roller coaster because peace feels foreign, even unsafe. And when someone tries to love you gently and consistently, you pull away because it just doesn't feel real. That's not your fault. It's the survival pattern your body built. You tell yourself stories to make it all make sense. Oh, they're just busy. They'll come around eventually. They just need a little more time. But deep down, in the quiet moments, you know they won't. You know you deserve so much more. You just don't know how to stop craving less. Because being wanted in small, inconsistent doses still feels better than being ignored completely. So you stay, you wait, you hope. But that waiting slowly turns into self-abandonment. You start shrinking yourself to fit into the empty spaces they never bothered to fill. Then one day, you finally pause long enough to see the pattern clearly. And it hits you like a tidal wave. You've been chasing the same person in different bodies over and over again. You've been trying to heal a deep wound by constantly reopening it. That realization hurts. It can feel like you're losing a part of yourself, but what you're actually losing is the illusion. You realize you weren't in love with them. You were in love with the version of yourself that believed you could finally be enough to make them stay. The version of you that thought if you just loved harder, this time, they wouldn't leave. But they always do, and that's not because you are unlovable. It's because they were never available to begin with. Healing truly begins the moment you stop calling chaos connection. When you stop confusing anxiety for attraction. When you finally stop seeing peace as boring Real love doesn't trigger your survival mode. It feels calm. It feels stable. It feels safe. It doesn't leave you waiting by the phone. It meets you where you are. It chooses you fully. At first, that calm will feel strange, maybe even uncomfortable. You might want to run back to the storm because your body has been wired for intensity for so long. But the more you heal, the more you'll realize that love isn't supposed to feel like a desperate chase. It's supposed to feel like coming home to rest. You'll stop craving the storm and start craving the quiet comfort of the shore. That's when you'll know you're not addicted anymore. Real love starts when you choose yourself first. When you stop begging others to validate your worth. You'll stop asking, "Why don't they love me?" And you'll start asking, "Why do I keep choosing people who can't?" Because the truth is, the moment you stop chasing unavailable people, you become emotionally available to yourself. You deserve a love that doesn't keep you guessing. You deserve someone who meets you right where you are, not someone you have to chase to the ends of the earth. But before that can happen, you have to become the one who chooses you. That's the hardest part, and it's also the most freeing. Real love feels peaceful, not addictive. It's not a test you have to pass. It's not a game you have to win. And it's definitely not confusion dressed up as passion. The right person won't make you question your worth. They'll reflect it back to you, brighter than you ever imagined. Sometimes, the people who never stayed were just mirrors, showing you all the places where you still abandon yourself. They weren't meant to love you. They were meant to wake you up. And now, you're awake. Now, you get to choose differently. You get to choose peace. You get to choose a love that stays. Thank you so much for joining me today. If this resonated with you, please consider subscribing for more truths about love, healing, and self-worth. It means the world to me. See you next time.